Okay, so Turkey Al Sheikh has announced his first Ring Magazine card in the USA. So this will be in America in May. Now, apparently, this is part of a kind of a plan to culminate in Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia 2. Apparently, according to reports, they are trying to hopefully have that kick off Riyadh season in October. That's kind of part of the rationale, because we were hearing that rather than them both go in and just have the immediate rematch, although it was a year later, but rather than just have that, have them both fight on the respective show. Ultimately, then it would go and kick off Riyadh season. You would imagine if it's kicking off Riyadh season, it's going to be in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Now, again, provided both guys win, it's not, well, yeah, pretty much. I know. Look, this is nothing is ever certain in boxing. But looking at this is yeah, very cautious matchmaking. In particular for Ryan Garcia, in particular for him. I have a fair idea. I know why they've matched Ryan Garcia with this guy, but yeah, that's what they're planning to do. Also on the undercard, we are going to see Martin Bakole versus Fa Ajagba. So there was a lot of talk about this fight, an awful lot of talk. So it was originally rumored that this was meant to be on the February 22nd show. It was actually meant to be another fight that was already on this card. Now you got to bear in mind, this February 22nd show, it's stacked. Not only is it stacked, there's good competitive fights, like Bradley Ree is fighting a prospect from Saudi Arabia, one of Turkey's picks, on the prelims. So we're getting prelims on top of the main card. So Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren were saying that card would have went on and on and on, and it would have if they had this fight on the undercard. This is the one I'm really... I'll touch on Devin and Ryan as well. But Martin Bakole against Fa Ajagba, that is a final eliminator. I believe it's for the IBF, if I'm not very much mistaken. I believe that's the one it's for. And Bakole has been looking good as of late. It's funny because he's not been the most active of heavyweights, if you think about it. Activity it's not been terrible, but it's not been amazing. He fought Tony Yoka 22? It was 23. Yeah, it was 22. He fought Tony Yoka. And then I think he just kind of did whatever he needed to do. He was fighting with Boxer. He then fights Carlos Takam on the undercard of Fury versus Ngannou. That was one of the earlier fights. And he looked really devastating against Carlos Takam. And that's something that you don't say when you talk about Carlos Takam. Even when he loses and even when he's been stopped, like against Povetkin, against Joshua, Joe Joyce, he's always given a good account of himself. He was able to land on Joe Joyce. He gave Joshua a moment to think about the Povetkin fight, if you haven't seen that. Very competitive fight. Very, very, very competitive fight. He was given as good as he got in that fight. And obviously he fought Joseph Parker, brought him the distance many years ago. He's always been there about Carlos Takam, always. Against Bakole, it was one-way traffic. And then he goes in there as part of Riyadh season in America last August in LA. And he really just goes in there and does a demolition job on Jared Anderson, who could still go on to have a particularly good career. He's a very, very talented fighter, Jared Anderson. Don't go around, he beat a hype job. No, Anderson has talent. He definitely does. He just needs to be manoeuvred the right way, as in he needs to be brought along at a little bit more of a slower pace, but I think he can do something. He's going in there with Fa Ajagba. Now, Ajagba, I remember when Ajagba fought Curtis Harper, who apparently is going to be fighting Deontay Wilder. That was my first real kind of introduction to him, because obviously it was doing the rounds. Never really seen a fighter walk out of the ring, upon the opening bell. When you look at Ajagba, good puncher, very good puncher, tremendous punching power. Even looking back at his early knockouts, really, really, really big puncher. But not the most sophisticated. He was likened a little bit to Deontay Wilder, a little bit technically better, and again a little bit technically better than Deontay Wilder. Still not good, but it was the punching power that people were really talking about. He had that fight against Ajagba on Wilder Fury 3, the undercard, and he didn't look against Frank Sanchez. He was soundly beaten. He was outboxed. He was down, and he just couldn't let his hands go. He couldn't let his big shots go. That was against Frank Sanchez. Frank Sanchez is a mover. He'll keep it at range. He's much faster than Martin Bakole. Much, much faster. Massive difference in speed. Bakole will just absolutely swarm all over you. He'll let big shots go from early on. And I don't know how Ajagba's going to be able to, I don't know how he's going to be able to keep Bakole off him. Especially if you consider, you could say, well, gee, he's a big puncher. Yeah, he is a big puncher, but when he fought someone who was, punching back and making him think in Frank Sanchez, one, he was down. And second of all, he was reluctant. I mean, I remember in the corner between rounds, they were urging him, let your hands go. He wouldn't do it. He was worried, clearly, to let his hands go. So if he's able to, let his hands go and able to throw shots, Bakole's defense has never been the greatest. Could he cause an upset? Yeah, he hits hard enough. Could he cause Bakole some problems, make him think of things? Yeah, I'm sure he can. I just don't know if he will. That is a fight I'm really looking forward to. And listen, I'm sure this Ring Magazine card, as they are now, this will be in May. We're having a Ring Magazine card in London in April, and we're having this one in May. So we're looking good. I wonder, will Turkey do anything in particular for those Ring Magazine shows on this side of the pond? Would he have them go a little bit? Remember, the Zone used to do that back when they started out. They would do them at a little bit more of a friendlier time to us on this side of the Atlantic. I wonder, will they do that? In terms of Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney will fight Jose Ramirez. Nothing strange there. I talked about that on Sunday, I think it was. That was the rumoured opponent, and that is the opponent he will be facing. Ramirez lost to Barbosa Jr. last year, and he had that fight against Josh Taylor. He was unified at 140. But he's not been looking great as of late, and you would imagine... Listen, we don't know how Devin Haney is going to look. This will be his first fight after that. Officially it's not now a loss, but he was beaten up by Ryan Garcia. If nothing else, he was beaten up against Ryan Garcia. So we need to see how he looks. He took a lot of punishment in that fight, as good a fight as it was. And those wondering, could it be Pitbull? Pitbull was the one they were talking about. Could he throw a spanner in the works? It's not Pitbull, and he's not going to throw no spanner in the works. He's fighting Rolly Romero. Rolly Romero, if nothing else, it'll be entertaining, the build-up, everything. Garcia will have someone that he can really work with in terms of that anyway, but, I mean, Rolly, I've said it once, I'll say it again, he is one of the worst world champions I've ever seen in boxing. He is awful. And it's, you look at this fight and you just think, how does he actually beat Ryan Garcia? How does he beat him? He's not got the sturdiest chin. He's been knocked out twice, and he was in a particularly bad way following on from the Pitbull knockout. When they tried to interview him after, you could tell he was clearly concussed. He didn't, people say Fury saying Happy New Year. Listen to Rolly when he was interviewed. He didn't know where he was in the interview after he fought Pitbull. So Rolly, he's got respectable power, if nothing else, but he is going to get absolutely... Listen, I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I'd be saying rounds 1 to 3, put some money, put a tenner on Ryan Garcia, because he is going to make light work of Rolly, who has a terrible defense as well. And Ryan Garcia, with the fast hands, the big punch and the left hook, he is going to make light work of Rolly Romero, light work of him. It's going to be a demolition job. It really will. So you're going to see probably 2 big knockouts on that show. Don't know what you're going to see with Haney versus Ramirez. Probably that. The one thing I will say about this card is, if it is happening in the States, this one, but the rematch, and you're going to imagine, I'm going to put money and say Ryan Garcia wins, and so does Devin Haney. If the rematch is happening as part of a Riyadh season, surely that's going to be in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Look, I love Riyadh season. I think it's brilliant, but that fight, surely is it not a US fight? That's US, isn't it not? First fight was in the US. Surely that's a Vegas fight, isn't it not? That's the one thing. But I guess for us on this side of the pond, as I've said, you can't really complain if they do it in Saudi Arabia. A fight of that magnitude, and it's a big fight. It's probably even bigger now. A fight that magnitude, we'll get it at a decent time. I don't have to stay up till stupid o'clock in the morning to watch it. So I get the argument, the counter argument to having it there as well. But let me know your thoughts. Bakole back, Ryan and Devin, their fights are signed and sealed. And we have our first Ring Magazine US show. Moving forward, we're going to be seeing a lot more Ring Magazine shows, because I think Riyadh season is just going to be that season. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Bakole versus Ajagba, the primary point of this video. What do you guys think? Let me know. Hope you enjoyed it. Peace.